My mic isn't hot, is it?
No, not now. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wingin podcast. Shadow Fox is here on early tonight.
How you guys doing?
It's me and him rocking tonight. So, Shadow Fox, how you been, man?
Yup.
Doing good.
How you doing?
All right. So, first things up, y'all saw the title. What the literal, y'all add whatever you want to add to it. So, we're gonna kick things off with this article I found from Digital Trends, and this is one I think you're gonna like, Shadow, because they basically confirmed what we've been saying for years, like that next gen consoles could never live up to 60 frames per second.
Boom.
And this is on digitaltrends.com. I'm gonna share that out right now because just so y'all know I'm not lying or making stuff up. All right, here it is. 2 years on. So, this was written on October 26th. And the games that they're talking about in this article are basically A Plague Tale Requiem and Gotham Knights. And they both shipped locked at 30 frames a second. Now, I've been saying forever, like, I can play any game that a developer creates as long as it plays smoothly like it's supposed to. I've never been on this whole, I can never play a game unless it's 60 frames a second. I've heard people say that. I've called BS on multiple occasions. Y'all know I don't believe in that. But this is the first time I've seen an actual publication actually say, hey, look, man, yeah, it was never going to be able to live up to that.
So I posted a link earlier on Twitter with a related video that was talking about how the Xbox Series S is not holding back ninth generation. And that's true. So the situation, and people don't. I'm having a current argument on Twitter with it right now. I may do a Spaces call later on tonight. I may not. But the situation is people just automatically think, hey, this new hardware is here. We're going to get new games that cater to said new hardware. Well, that requires people that make said games to do the things they need to do to make said games take advantage of the new hardware. And the way game development is now, and especially how they have to do the situation where, well, we can't leave 8th gen behind because 8th gen, there's too many, the user base is too big. So we got to do this half step of having, PS4 and Xbox One games out here and then cross-gen them until we get stuff going, especially with the pandemic holding back a lot of the user base that they could have potentially got.
And
initially.
And the chip shortage too.
Yeah, and the chip shortage also in with that. But I mean, pretty much the chip shortage, a lot of that stuff was caused by the pandemic because we have unfortunately, the majority of our world uses a just-in-time delivery system, which means that instead of you ordering something and then when you order it, they take the time to go through and then take it from the warehouse at the source and then send it to the destination via ship or air or what have you. What actually happens is a whole bunch of ships hold all the stuff that you need on a whole bunch of Qualcomms and Connexes or whatever on ships all around the world in ports. And then when you make said order, those containers are shipped in the shipping yard and they pull them off those containers and then bring them on trucks or whatever in trains and bring them to your destination. They literally hover until said order is complete or enough orders are complete, then they pull them off the container when the containers on the shipyard are empty. Unfortunately, that's the way our country works. And well, a lot of first world countries in the world work. So when all of a sudden, hey, a whole bunch of people want all of this stuff now, or a whole bunch of these people are like, I don't want to order any of that one thing now. Now there's a holdup. So either there's too many people requesting all this stuff that's sitting in water, or nobody is ordering that one thing that they were consistently ordering at a certain pace. that's sitting in the water. So now you got a boat that's sitting there blocking other stuff that's coming because people weren't ordering that thing anymore because, the pandemic. And now you got a whole bunch of people wanting everything off of this other boat that's waiting behind the other boat that won't unload. And they want everything off of it. And then once everything comes off of it, it's gone. And now there's a shortage. And then the price goes up. And then they're waiting on the next boat to come in because of the shortage of that one thing and nobody buying anything of the second boat. So that's been a thing as far as logistics around the world. It's affected everybody for the most part. A lot of people, they deal with local politics and stuff, and they think, oh well, the local politics affect what's happening right now. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of this stuff is happening globally, so you can't really apply it to that. But that's a whole. I'm not doing a politics podcast. I'm not doing the economics podcast. Screw that. I'm just telling you the way it works, right?
Yeah.
So
we're in a global economy, whether you like it or not.
Yes. So even if there were no shortages at factories for a lot of the SoCs for these consoles, they would still be stuck on boats because they're waiting in line to get to stores so they can be shipped to stores and then be purchased. And if there's a whole bunch of people buying them from stores, you're waiting for them to come off the boat so they can get shipped back to the stores versus, hey, well, we didn't order enough. They ordered enough. They just couldn't get there. There's a backlog going from ship dock to bus or train or whatever to get to the retailer in time. And then people start canceling orders. So that screws up the flow of logistics between the store and the dock. And it's a whole thing, and it rinse and repeat or what have you. So then you end up with a situation where, hey, I ordered an Xbox Series X, right? And they're telling me it's going to be 8 months to get my Xbox Series X. So I'm going to cancel that order. And then when you cancel that order, everybody else that was waiting in the line for that order is like, either I'll be next in line, or now we found out there's a whole bunch of cancellations, and now the boat, the how can I say this? The place that the boat was sitting in gets pushed back as another boat that's offloading stuff is getting other things like from Walmart or whatever to ship to stores. So it's a whole thing where, and on top of that, at some point, material for building the SoCs for these consoles ended up being backlogged for the same reasons overseas. So now Foxconn or what have you is waiting on copper, or they're waiting on tin or whatever to build these SoCs in their foundries, and they can't do it because they're waiting on materials. So now you've got a builder shortage, and you've got a shortage for the stuff you've already built, and you're waiting on all that stuff and it's being backlogged.
And then if it's 2020 and 2021, your factory is shut down.
Yep.
Because you're in the pandemic, so your factory shut down.
So Nintendo was lucky because they saw something else dealing with tariffs, which was political then at the time.
Yeah.
So they avoided the whole Foxconn hurdle and started buying stuff internally in Japan and using Taiwan to do a lot of building and whatnot of Nintendo Switches so they could ship them. If they didn't do that early in 2020 before the pandemic kicked off, the Switch would have been just as short a supply as the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. And I think that's the thing that people didn't know. Like right before the pandemic, Nintendo made that switch.
I want to say December 2019 when they made the switch.
Is when they decided to
everything went to hell in the handbasket March 2020.
They're like, look, it costs too much to ship stuff to America dealing with our partner over here because of these Chinese tariffs. So we're going to use Taiwan or whatever, right? And as soon as they decided to do that, like a couple months after that, the pandemic kicked off, and the rest is history. So, like, it was a weird, happy accident for that Nintendo took advantage of, but that could have happened to anybody, really. And now you got two consoles that's supposed to ship in November, and they still push forward to ship in November with everything that was happening. And,
which I thought was a bad idea to begin with.
Yeah, they should have canceled it or pushed it back to 2021, but they chose to. They couldn't leave Switch on the market for 3 years straight. So,
but here's the thing: they wound up doing it anyway because they couldn't get them out there. They couldn't get them out, so you should have just pushed it back, because drip feeding it wasn't helping you.
Yep,
it wasn't helping you, and they already had the stuff for your PS4 Pro and your Xbox One X, so you still would have been fine. And once again, Microsoft with Game Pass, that's why I will give Microsoft this. They were up front from the get. Look, our stuff will be playable across our entire family.
Yep.
Sony was the one that was like, "Oh, we're only going to have PS5 exclusives." Wait a minute. There's a pandemic.
That went away pretty quick.
Yeah,
they had no choice.
Yeah. Put in the bottom of the PlayStation of the state of play, in real small print, available on PS4 Pro and PC. Just put it in the bottom on right hand side. Yeah, just say that, man. Just say that. So,
yeah,
it's pretty much what they did.
Yeah, I don't. So with that being said, they couldn't produce those systems. But now we're in a situation where, in addition to them not being available, development kits are not being available, and then the development kits that are available now you have a completely different way that you're developing games now. So instead of looking over Joe's shoulder to figure out how the newest shader works on the PlayStation 5, everybody's working remote. Mm-hmm. So everybody's working remote, trying to figure out how these engines works and whatnot, how to better maximize the SDK on these newer systems, and they don't know. So they're doing an extension of what they were doing on the PS4 and the Xbox One, and just saying, do it with higher wattage or do it with higher resolution, and the masses will be okay. When Mark Cerny already said, hey, for this next gen stuff to kick off, for all the advantages of next gen to work, we have to redesign how we build these games. We have to redesign how memory is cached, how assets are cached and localized, so we can take advantage of the solid state drives and the memory controller in PlayStation 5 and Series X. And everybody but Sony first parties took advantage of it. So, I can say only Sony first parties took advantage of it. Third party games were basically on those platforms. They're PS4 games with PS5 benefits. Basically, hey, I'm running this game broken just like it is on PS4, but it loads a little bit faster on PS5 because the drive is faster. Instead of, hey, we created all our assets to make sure it takes maximum advantage of the SSD being faster and the faster memory and the fact that, the system has 16 gigs of RAM versus 8. Yeah. And so that's a problem. And they, so now we got these PS4, Xbox One games, or PS4, Xbox One 4K games instead of Series X and PS5 games, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And it's kind of sad to see, to be honest with you. But
we should have expected this, because to be completely fair, ever since the HD situation ever happened in gaming, it's been, we're gonna say we can do this, but we can't really do this. 7th gen is full of 1080 60 frames per second is the new standard. No, it wasn't.
Yep. And they were never able to do that. Yeah. 1080p barely became standard last generation.
Yeah, barely. So
Nier Automata is 900p on the PS4. It's 1080p on the Switch. Go figure.
Right? Go figure. But the thing is, I'm like, once again, this goes back to the whole article from Digital Trends. I'm like, yeah, because like most stuff needs to be 30 frames to run smoothly. If it needs to be that, it just needs to be that. Everything don't have to be 60 and 100. It don't need to be that. Yeah, certain games can get away with it. Majority of games don't. If we're actually being honest, they don't really need it, and it's showing because a lot of times they can't. In the case of Gotham Knights, they couldn't get it to work. I mean, I remember Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Marvel's Avengers. If you want to play that thing in 4K, you're not playing it in 60 frames per second. It's locked at 30.
And that's a third party studio thing, and that's a third party publisher issue, because you're funding the majority of these games being built, and you're still using PC as the lead development SKU, and you're shoehorning them onto consoles and then saying, well, this version couldn't run because it doesn't have the better specs. And I'm like, no, why are you building on PC? Yeah, like, pick a console, port to the other consoles, and optimize for those, and now you've got a product that works well on all of them. And it's one situation after another, and it's been this way since 7th generation. They keep doing this. Yeah. They're like, hey, we'll use PC as a target SKU. They'll develop for it. They'll pick a lead SKU that they do most of the driver implementation and stuff like that on. It'll either would have been 360 during the 7th generation and PS4 during the 8th generation. And then they'll port from there. And then they wonder why the ports from the lead SKUs look horrible. I'm like, look, what you built for the lead SKU isn't exactly cutting edge, because you originally designed this on a PC. Like maybe, just maybe, your entire project should have been started from scratch with PS4 in mind or 360 in mind, and then we would have gotten a better product out of it across the board. But that isn't how the majority of these third-party games work. They already have like a test device that they're using before these systems are even finalized that they use to develop their games internally, and it don't really change from that. Even when they get development kits and stuff like that after the console is final and all the other kind of stuff, they still keep whatever early development situation they had, and they're still building projects on it. So it's I don't know if that's the console manufacturer's fault or not, for them sending the stuff out early and not providing updates in time, or forcing them to say, hey, look, move to the newer development kit. We will not allow you to ship another product until you update development kits. I don't know if that needs to happen, or some type of enforcement on optimization needs to happen, or um, some type of industry standard needs to come about where somebody's auditing these games and say, hey, look, on this end here, you're not even attempting to modify or port this game with some type of quality. Maybe that needs to happen at some point, and then we can start seeing a little bit better performance, because there's zero reason for a game to be 30 frames per second, even in the 8th generation. To be honest with you, they were both overkill for the target resolution they were supporting, which would have been 1080p, right? You don't need that much for a 1080p frame buffer if you consider the type of RAM that both of those systems had. Like Xbox One had slow DDR3, right? But that isn't how you build a game per frame. It had ESRAM in there that was really, really fast. So if you use that, you dealing with the 8 gigs of DDR3 is secondary. But because developers build games so big, they just kind of shoehorn everything on there, hope that it runs. And that's a problem, instead of starting with what the system is really good at doing. So for even going back to Wii U then at that point, because it had the same 32 gigs of really fast embedded memory or what have you, build everything in your game around that. Build up the 1080p frame buffer. So now you got 1080p, 60 frames per second, and whatever kind of quality of textures that you have going within that 32 gig loop, or 32 meg loop, whatever, right? Then you start building other assets that you want to load from DDR on top of that will load in a little bit slower or what have you, or you can cache it in to the EDRAM or ESRAM, so there isn't a load seen to the player. I don't think that ever happened for Xbox One, and it definitely didn't happen for Wii U at that point. They just literally shoehorn games on Wii U and blame the hardware at that point, instead of trying to maximize what that system did well. And they didn't really deal with it on Xbox One as well. They're just like, well, it has 8 gigs, so we'll just throw stuff on it, and then it loads slow, and they wonder why.
I always found it funny when Harada and Kamiya and Japanese developers would always be like, "No, the Wii U is not hard to work with.
No,
It's actually easy to work with. It's actually very intuitive." But you'll always have anonymous senior engineer from EA,
never shipped the game.
yeah, saying it's trash. Which leads into my next topic. You still hate EA?
Are we hating them or are we not? Like, because
Here's the reason. Because if you're a fan of Marvel, apparently Disney decided to create a long-term deal with Marvel for game development.
For EA, like,
from EA,
that's weird. I wonder how that'll go.
So, I'm and now I'm kind of worried, because I'm like, I don't trust EA
I thought Disney was using different studios because like
They
the
were.
one game they just used. My wife's playing it now. It's a Disney something game. You walk around and recruit characters.
Yeah, it's
Gameloft made that, so
yeah,
they they made Asphalt for
yeah.
DS and phones and stuff like that.
Well,
So
apparently this was a deal that they made. So I'm guessing EA, because remember EA was trying to get bought by somebody. They was trying to
yeah,
sell it first, and then nobody was takers. So I guess they went and pitched a couple ideas to Marvel, and Disney was like okay with it. I'm guessing,
yep,
because from what I understood, the whole thing with Disney was they wanted to, because remember they got rid of their gaming studio. Don't know why they did that. Right, and then they bought Star Wars and Marvel,
yeah.
which made no sense.
Disney tried it twice because they tried it in the fourth and fifth generation
Yeah,
and mixed results
yeah.
because of
It was
you know.
their games weren't bad. They weren't bad. They just weren't like, if you compare, like for instance, like Epic Mickey. Epic Mickey was actually pretty fun.
Yep.
But if you're comparing that to the top games like Mario or God of War, of course you're gonna sit there and be like, yeah, this sucked. Like, no, you actually didn't do bad. So no, I don't know. Disney didn't make Asphalt. Who made Asphalt? That was something.
Gameloft made
Yeah, Game
Asphalt
Loft.
GT.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I can understand it. But this, because um Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, that was Koei Tecmo
Mm-hmm.
did that. So that's what I thought they were doing, was just going and getting different ones. But apparently EA made the announcement. I don't know what they're planning on doing, but I started getting scared because I'm like, I'm looking at stuff like Gotham Knights and the Batman Arkham series, and now I'm looking at what Marvel has. I'm like, there's Daredevil, there's Black Panther. I would love a Black Panther game. I really don't want EA to touch that.
Yep.
I really don't want EA to touch that.
So yeah, I don't know how we're gonna.
All I see is microtransactions. That's all I see.
So obviously they're shopping around, right? Because what they're not going to do is they're not going to take away from what Sony has going with the Spider-Man franchise, right? And obviously the same team is going to do Logan. So Disney is not gonna. They're not gonna screw that pooch. They're gonna go ahead and let Insomniac do what they do.
Do they do? Yeah. Do what they do? Yeah.
Yeah, that was who was that? Exodia put that in where he said he was wondering about. I guess he misheard what I was saying. I said that Disney partnered with Gameloft to make one of the games for it's on Switch and PC and I think PS4 right now. It's a Disney game where you recruit other characters and whatnot. It's out right now.
Yeah, because Vicky was playing it.
Yeah, and Gameloft made that game. So Disney partnered with Gameloft and said, "Hey, use our license for this game or whatever." So that's one of the games they made, and that same team made Asphalt GT for iPhones and the DS and whatnot back in the day. That was the connection there. Not that Disney didn't make Asphalt GT.
Yeah. Now the first game they said is going to be the single player third person Iron Man game from Motive Studios.
Yeah, Dreamlight Valley. That's the name of the game. Right.
Yeah. Iron Man. That's going to be interesting to see, just because I know in the Avengers game that they did, that Square Enix did, the Iron Man stuff was not fun at first.
Yeah.
It just wasn't like those. I hated those parts. But we'll see, because I heard the VR game was actually fun. The Iron Man VR game was actually fun, but like, I don't know. Do you Kid Icarus Uprising it where you have flight and land missions? I mean, that would probably be the best thing to do instead of trying to make it,
all flight.
All flight, yeah. I mean, it will be interesting to see. But I am a little worried because it is EA, and like I said, EA tends to, especially when they get like arrogant as hell, and they will drop in stuff that makes no sense, like the whole Battlefront situation. Yeah, I remember that.
I think
Battlefront 2 situation, that was ridiculous.
Platinum could do Iron Man.
Man, Platinum can do anything with action. All you got to tell them is we just need it to be an action game.
Yeah.
Bet. Bet. Can we go crazy?
They're like, action games, we do those.
Sure, why not? Yep. Good. Because we got like 15 ideas, all of them involve kaiju sequence.
And give them the time. Give them the time, just like Nintendo gave them for the games that they did with them. and then you won't come up with it with a shit project because they had like kind of suspect Ninja Turtles and Transformers games, but
well, the
like you got to
Transformers
give them
game,
time.
yeah, the Transformers game and the Ninja Turtles game wasn't bad. It was
Yeah.
just the they didn't have enough time. Transformers game was fun, but I think they wouldn't. It was one of those situations where because I still play the Transformers game just because I'm a Gen 1 fanatic,
Yep.
and they went
Old
and
school.
got Peter Cullen and Frank Welker to come back and do voice. I'm like, I am not missing this. So, and the game is actually fun, but it's repetitive. And if you know anything about Platinum don't really like doing repetitive levels. They like doing crazy stuff. And
Yep.
that's the problem I see with Mutants in Manhattan and Transformers is they had to do
Repetitive.
like repetitive stuff.
And they didn't want to.
Yeah. So if you give Platinum time, they will make it. The story might not make no sense, but the game is gonna be fire. I mean, it just is. If you look at all the stuff they made, like Metal Gear Revengeance.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man. Nobody cared about that until they found out Platinum did it, and then when they started playing, you're like, "This is insane," and I love them for this.
Insane action game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, despite all the controversy around Bayonetta 3, if you play in that game, one thing you're not complaining about is the gameplay. You are not complaining about that gameplay.
I got to get out of Xenoblade right now. I got to play Bayonetta, but
So the real question that I want to ask is, when are we going to get that Bayonetta Warriors?
that's what goes without saying at this point. It's got to be automatic at this point.
I mean, there's 2 Warriors games that need to be made: Xenoblade Warriors and Bayonetta Warriors.
Man, Xenoblade Warriors would be great.
Not to be confused with Mario Warriors.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how you do Mario Warriors, but yeah. You have to have a break in it for a Mario Kart section.
Have Ubisoft do the artwork for
it. that would be crazy. But so Embracer Group. Y'all know they brought the Square Enix Montreal studio. You want to know something messed up? They already closed it.
That makes sense. But then, I mean, Embracer is old THQ anyway, right? They're just buying whatever old properties and.
Well, here's the problem though. Like they were working on stuff when they closed them.
Venture capital, well, not venture capital, but vulture capitalism at this point is what we're dealing with, and they're gobbling up whatever is not profitable, or whoever is willing to sell because they think they're not going to be profitable, and they just end up owning stuff and moving it around however they see fit. And I don't know what else to say other than, I mean, there's been some good and some bad from it because some THQ games have risen from the grave because of a lot of their acquisitions.
Yeah, like Darksiders has.
Yeah, but some stuff has been killed. So it just depends on what Embracer Group decides to swallow up whole.
Well, this one is they were working on, according to this article, they were working on a new Deus Ex title, but it was very, very early in development. Some of the team that didn't yet, the studio got closed, but some of the team is still working on Perfect Dark with Crystal Dynamics. So those employees are still doing that. I guess once that is done, they're gonna have to find something else. But
I'm just gonna say out loud right now for the cheap seats, I just don't think a Crystal Dynamics version of Perfect Dark would have been a decent project. I'm just gonna say that straight up.
Well, they're supposed to be helping. I don't, man. You know how I feel about this. Like I said before that if I couldn't get the Stanford Brothers or the team from Free Radical to work on Perfect Dark, I wouldn't did it. And Microsoft has the people to know how to find those people, so it's not like they couldn't find them where they were.
But my thing is, why are you even trying to revisit that if you're not going to do if you're not gonna do an extension of what
They did.
Perfect Dark Zero was,
Well,
because
Perfect Dark Zero shouldn't have been made, but we ain't gonna get into that.
yeah, my first thing would be if Microsoft was gonna do another project, fix Perfect Dark Zero. Either do like an indirect sequel to it or figure out a way. And I hate it because you're talking about the genesis of one of gaming's greatest characters, and you screwed it all up with the gameplay. So I'm like, you have to,
and the actual story that they did, because they did not follow one at all.
So you gotta figure out a way to honestly to fix that meld. And if you're going to decide to do other games in that vein, then you need the proper talent. And Microsoft has the money, so they can acquire the talent. It's just, are you acquiring the right talent?
And I think that's been my main problem with Microsoft. They kept talking about all these studios they done bought, and it's like, dude, y'all been talking about that for like the last 8 years, and you ain't got nothing. We ain't got nothing for it. Yep. Like, what are they working on? You got one team working on something, and they done lost. They first of all, y'all put a trailer out. They didn't know what the game was. When people started asking them about the game, they didn't know what it was, but y'all had enough wherewithal to put a trailer out. Go figure. Then that director leaves. And then you've had the Perfect Dark situation where the art director and the design director left.
Yep.
I'm like, then you have to bring in another company to help out, but y'all already put a trailer out.
But you own Rare, and Rare is like, we ain't doing that no more. And you're like, yeah. If we wanted to, we have the money to buy the stampers to have them come on to give their whatever.
I don't think the stampers after that interview they did back in 2008.
Yeah,
I don't think
they wish they stayed with Nintendo.
Yeah, I don't think they're going.
But money talks too, though. Like, if you
money does talk, but
you say $100 million direct this game, they'll show up. They'll show up.
But there'll have to be some concession. They'll be like, it's our team. You don't have no say so in it.
Maybe.
And let's be real, they ain't gonna say that because they wouldn't do that with Kami and Platinum. That's why Scalebound messed up, because Scalebound was supposed to be a single player game. They kept trying to push them to do multiplayer.
Yeah, trying to add and make it multiplayer. Yeah. Like, and they were talking about drop in, drop out multiplayer too. Like, that's difficult to do.
Yeah.
And especially if you already built a single player game. Yeah. You can't.
And that's what it was supposed to be. I'm like, dude, let the franchise grow. Let the first game be like they want to do it, and then give them time on the second game to do all that. But thankfully, I'm thankful that they did that, because Kami was like, yeah, after that got canceled, we just went back to Nintendo. Hey, we got an idea for Bayonetta 3. And they're like, cool, do it. So I'm like, thank you, Phil, for screwing that one up. Appreciate you.
That's one love. Insane. It's insane the way it works out.
Yeah. So, and Trinell, you actually have a very good point, because I know me and Andre was talking about this. They could have had Jet Force Gemini.
For sure, they could have had Jet Force Gemini,
and they could have had that there, because a lot of times people be complaining about not having enough of a variety of stuff, that family friendly stuff that they can play as well. I'm like, dude, you could have did that, because that could have been your Halo for everybody that's not of age.
That could have been your quote unquote competition for Splatoon then at the time. So
yeah, I mean, because to be fair, they should have been on Jet Force Gemini 3 or 4 by now.
Yeah.
To be fair, so yeah, you would have been able to do that. But I'm like, when you look at Rare's list, that's why I'm like, Rare Replay was the biggest. Was the biggest kind of screw up that Microsoft did, because that it just made people remember all the stuff that Rare has that they didn't touch.
Exactly.
For years. Like, dude, you should have been on, we should be on Killer Instinct 5 or 6 by now.
At this point, why did they even purchase them? Because your output is Grab by the Ghoulies, Banjo and Nuts and Bolts, Cameo, and re-releases of Conquer, and that Cameo.
Yeah, that wasn't
Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, but that's the team that after the Stampers and them left.
Yeah, it's not even, you don't even get the magic from the Stamper brothers at all anymore. Yeah. Killer Instinct wasn't even from that team. That was a bunch of really dedicated people making an Xbox Live Arcade game.
Yeah.
That was lightning in the bottle, and that's never happening again. So how you
Because
How do you square that? Like,
because we should be, they should have had a teaser out for Killer Instinct 3 by now.
but it can't happen because those people are gone. So
Yeah.
how do you even get those people to come back? Or
that's when you put in the call to Masahiro Sakurai. Nah.
Yeah.
Although I would love to see what Sakurai would do with something like that. Cause I think he'd make that game amazing.
He probably made Killer Instinct pretty good.
Yeah.
I could see him making a really good version of that game. I don't know, man. It's just really weird. I don't know. There's nothing to tell Microsoft at this point because they're like, screw it, Game Pass anyway.
Yeah.
So they don't even really see making killer apps as their killer app anymore. Game Pass is. Yeah. So they don't even have to do, hey, our content is really great. They can live off third party and selling it off their store at this point. They're essentially doing what Valve is doing.
Yeah. I mean, which is smart for them because that's who they view as competition, is like the Apple and Google and that side. They don't.
It just hurts because they own all these studios where they can make really good games.
Well, you know what, man? There's only one thing that can save Xbox, in my opinion. You know what that is, right? Time to put in a call to Koei Tecmo for Jet Force Gemini Warriors.
all these games, all these Warriors games, they're gonna be on every platform, a different one for every platform. It's gonna be like Soul Calibur. Buy that platform for this one. Buy that platform for this one.
With the same jacked up engine.
Yep. It's like you want to play God of War Warriors, buy a PS5.
Buy a PS5.
You know what? That actually sounds like a good idea.
Also available on PS4 Pro.
That actually sounds like a good idea, to be honest with you.
God of War Warriors would be dope. Get the players all as young Kratos, bring back TC Carson, and older Kratos. Had them meet each other and beat the brakes off each other.
And that would actually be kind of cool.
And then Zeus tried to stop him. They just turn around and beat him down again.
Yep.
That would be hilarious. But yeah, do a Warriors game for every system.
Man. Yeah, that would be wonderful.
That would be crazy.
Oh man.
We need to convince Andre to do a video for that one, so they'll go and
so it can appear.
Yeah, so
that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Andre does a video, it appears.
It straight up appears. Now you talked about something in our little sidebar on Twitter about the Miiverse coming back on Wii U and 3DS.
Yes.
Kind of.
So you do this weird configuration. I guess we can put the link in the description after this or what have you.
Yeah, it's this was from Good Vibe Games. Now I will say this: Good Vibe Games, they're a real good YouTube channel. I don't agree with this video per se because y'all know my feelings on emulation and stuff like that. I don't agree with that, but I don't mind this video. But I would never do this. But yeah.
So essentially, like whether you use Cemu or you had a hack Wii U or whatever, there's
homebrew, baby.
Yeah, there's custom servers that you can sign into via the homebrew channel to go and create your own. Well, not create your own, to link to a private Miiverse server that they've built. And it works just like Miiverse. So you get all the comments, you get the Mii's walking around, you're able to save in different games and whatnot, content, create the custom achievements, all that kind of stuff in Miiverse, post in Miiverse. So all that stuff is kind of there. It's just on a custom server. If anybody remembers back in the day, like, Phantasy Star Online and other MMOs or whatever, you could either pay for a private server or join a free private server and get essentially the same content that you had for the legitimate game back in the day, but on a server that somebody else built because they built a server with the same parameters that the original Miiverse expected. So that's essentially what this new release is. And honestly, I think it's kind of cool. I'm gonna try it out. Because I gotta steal my games. Apparently, I have to fire up my Cemu emulator and steal all my games so I can try to play them on Miiverse that way. I mainly because I don't want to hack my Wii U.
You shouldn't. do
Yeah, I
that. But
don't.
I mean,
But there's a lot of good tools out there. Tiramisu is a really good tool where you can hack your Wii U and it literally will do everything for you, to include playing GameCube games in HD. So I I don't I feel kind of split regarding it, because there's a whole bunch of people out there that want to do things that aren't illegal. Like they just want to take their games and have them all load from a hard drive, instead of having to put a disc in every time you play. They want to connect to Miiverse, even if it's the newer,
the rehash from
the rehash version of Miiverse or what have you, right? They want to do stuff like that. They want to save games wherever they want to save them, or load game saves or what have you. So emulator or modding your Wii U would be good in that situation for those things, or homebrew that isn't exactly stealing games. It might just be a whole another application that you use. There's a whole bunch of different front ends for Plex and stuff like that you can use for Wii U, which are really cool. So you would never have to unplug your Wii U, and then you use your Wii remote as an actual remote to watch content, just stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of different projects that you can go out there to mod your Wii U for, or to mod your emulated Wii U on in Simu or whatever, so you can do whatever kind of content you want to do. I'm just of two things. I've already explained how I feel about this. If you watch anybody, no matter how many millions of followers they have, regarding emulation, they will tell you to their blue in the face that emulation is legal, right?
It's really
then they go into detail about how you actually make it work for you playing games, because the emulators themselves, they are legal, right? The ROMs required to play them, though, they never show you from start to finish how they get the games on that emulator and then play them. And when I say this, so what you'll see some videos that say, hey, we're doing this on Wii U from start to finish, right? They'll skip a whole bunch of steps, and they'll miss a whole bunch of disclaimers that show up when you're extracting games. And they do that for a reason. And that reason is obviously copyright law, but whatever. So however you want to feel about that. I mean, like Clarison says, there's ways to do that. Just go look and find out. I personally don't do that. Yeah, I mean, I do it for research. Obviously, I like to play the actual games because I like having the cartridge in my hand, or I like having the disc in my hand and playing it that way. But it's more for research for me, because I keep hearing all the time, "Hey, emulation is way better. You can get blah blah blah," and then I go and I try it, and I'm like, that's kind of broken actually.
Yeah, so I remember because you was in that group on Google on G Plus that I made, right?
Yeah.
Remember when a good buddy of ours came in and claimed he played Xenoblade Chronicles X on an emulator?
Yeah,
and we caught him lying. We caught him in his lie.
It's still broken. It's still broken on Simu. You can get it to do high performance in some areas,
but it wouldn't.
Then you go to Calder's, or you fight a Telethia, and then the game breaks. So
where is it, like when you go to Noctilum, you get surrounded by those three you can't, that section doesn't work.
Yep.
So I remember that. I just thought it was funny, just because he got called out, and then came to find out that he had a Wii U and he was just lying, trying to get he was getting views off the haterade. So I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, people get views off of it. That's fine. Do what you do. But I just feel that it would be a lot more. It would be a lot more helpful if you're forthcoming in that, and if that's your grift. Because even if you tell people that's your grift, it's not going to stop you from gaining followers. There are plenty of people that just say, "I'm grifting you," and I don't care, and then they still get a lot of followers. So just be honest about it. Yep. It's fine.
That's honesty is always the best policy.
Yep.
That being said, you heard about this Final Fantasy 16 diversity issue?
No, I have not, sir.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. So basically, on IGN asked one of the producers of Final Fantasy 16 about diversity in the games, and people got a little bit upset about the answer that was given.
Oh, so I didn't see the original story. I saw the Twitter responses, though.
Yeah.
And people talking about how, like Monolith has been doing it and other games have been doing it. Like, I get it. You got some characters in you had a black main character in Final Fantasy 12. I
Yeah,
guess kind of black, wasn't really human, but okay.
yeah.
Um,
There was a black character in 13.
yep.
There was a black character in 7. But I think one of the issues, because to me it's not that serious, but the problem was the answer. And sometimes, in my opinion, it's best to just shut the hell up.
Yep.
Just shut up. Because had they just kept their mouth shut, it wouldn't, because when you read it, it sounds bad the way it came out. So I don't know if the translation is off or whatever, but it just sounds bad. And I'm trying to find it, the actual quote. Let's see. I saw like 3 different ones. And give it to IGN to, be the ones to ask that dumb question.
Can't spell ignorant without IGN.
Yeah, you can't. Okay, so basically, all right. So here's the part of the quote. I'm gonna read a part of it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing because it's like a page and a half. But basically, was our design concept from the earliest stages of development has always heavily featured medieval Europe, incorporating historical, cultural, political, and anthropological standards that were prevalent at the time. When deciding on a setting that was best suited to the story we wanted to tell, the story of a land beset by the Blight, we felt that rather than create something on a global scale, it was necessary to limit the scope to a single landmass, one geographically and culturally isolated from the rest of the world in an age without airplanes, television, or telephones. So, that being said, that's understandable, right? I would guess that's understandable to an extent.
So, but I guess like the way that you're talking about, yeah, and if you're talking about fantasy, the fantasy realm as well, like how do you?
Because fantasy, you can make anything. Like it's not real, so you don't have to you're not bound by the rules. It's just the rules that you make up. So once again, it probably been better if he just would have kept his mouth shut. Because when you say, "Oh, we're just gonna lock this landmass," dude, it's Final Fantasy. It's not final realism.
That's the thing. So like, there's other issues as far as like, hey, people literally choosing urban style games that are open world or what have you, and not having a black protagonist. Like, and if you do, they're not the main character, they're a side character or whatever, or they're the villain in the game,
or they're a criminal.
Yeah, or they're a criminal. So it's like, what are we doing to rectify that type of situation? And it shouldn't be the answer shouldn't be, well, we make a game that's like Mass Effect where you create your own character. No. Because even though Jennifer Hill does sound really good as a black woman, I don't want it shouldn't have to be that.
Be like that, yeah.
So I mean, I'll take Cree Summer. It's fine. But like start from scratch with that as your main character and stick with it. It's okay. We promise you. I'm just gonna say the quiet part out loud. There's a lot of us. Yeah. It's not just you don't have to say that. You don't have to think that. I will say this. Specifically in the United States, there's more people of color. That's the majority. So cater to that audience and be done with that. Like it's okay to have a main character that's a person of color.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
it's not going to kill your game.
No, Twin Tail.
Exactly. It's not going to kill your game. So it's
not
amazing.
Now, if your combat sucks.
Yes, do not have. Please do not put us in games with bad combat. Please don't do that. Please do not.
Well, Final Fantasy. The other thing too is Final Fantasy got enough problems. Like Square has been hemorrhaging money because they want to do all these high concept, high visuals, high this. They want to make movies, and they don't know whether they want to be a video game, an anime, or a movie half the time because they're doing all 3. They don't know if they want to be a toy maker because they're doing that too.
Still half chasing Xenoblade. which is hilarious to me. If you look at 12,
Monolith ain't doing none of that.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just
like, okay, we ain't gonna do none of that mess. Yeah. If they want to make a movie, they can do it after we done with this game. We making the game, like.
And you look at the games that are doing okay. It's like Octopath Traveler, you know, like
Team Asano and Tokyo RPG Factory are killing it.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on at Square proper, but they got to figure it out because we found out real quick that Kingdom Hearts is not going to be your savior.
Mm-mm. Well, it would be if you would let Nomura work on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Instead of having him working on 15 projects at the same time and want him to be director of all of them.
That's true.
Like he should.
It's so strange, man. I'm a big fan of people loving the products that they're involved in, and as soon as you start to stretch people thin, it's going to be evident in whatever the end result is going to be. So,
I mean, because Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 should have came out way before they finally released, and one of the main issues was Nomura was making all this other stuff, and the other thing too is, and I don't understand why Square is like this. Like with Kingdom Hearts, there was handheld games, there was all these other stuff. I'm like, just focus on 3. Give that to another studio if you want to do a spinoff. 358x2, Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance. Let Koei Tecmo or Ubisoft or somebody else do that while y'all work on. You don't need to do all of that. Let somebody else work on that. And that probably would have made it a little bit easier, in my opinion. It probably would have been a little bit easier to get your mainline game out if you let Platinum do Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah, and that's
Birth by Sleep. I mean,
that's so rough, man. And so now they're doing, Crisis Core, what have you.
Yeah, Crisis Core remake. Because they didn't tell people how many episodes Final Fantasy remake was going to be because they didn't know, and this was one of those situations where they did a trailer for PS3 and people said, "Oh, that's going to be the game," and they were like, "We didn't say that."
And now they're forced to do episodic content, which is weird.
Yeah. RJ, I know that, but I'm saying, like, if you got that many and the main team still needs to work on your main game, somebody else needs to work on it because
you can have trusted agents do those kind of smaller games, and while retaining like, so for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 wasn't done by the main team, but they kept all the lore and stuff. Like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is directly connected to 1. So they were able to withhold that continuity while not being the main team of Xenoblade 1 or Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yeah.
So
it's because to me, because I don't know how many people they have working on the Kingdom Hearts games, but I'm pretty sure it's not like they got like 1,000 people working on it. So it's one of the situations where you're gonna have at some point somebody's gonna be doing multiple things, and I think that's one of the reasons why 3 took so long to get out. They had all the other stuff to do, and they didn't let another studio do it. So Monolith has
there was a couple of. I think I saw a player actually put a couple of them out. Like he's like Monolith been doing this for a minute. I was like,
they really have. Like
since Baten Kaito's really like they've been out here.
That's why they can't use the excuse. That's all I do. You can't.
Well, it's Japan. Not really.
Not really, because Bleach got black people in it.
Yep.
Naruto has black people in it. One Piece got like, so you can't really say that. You really can't say that.
Yep. What y'all doing? Like,
so I mean, it's one of those situations like that. Yeah, it's Japan, but also it's fantasy. It's not realism, so you can put whoever you want to in there. Yeah. Of course, now you will get the people who like got mad at House of the Dragon and Rings of Power for putting like, how dare you have a black hobbit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like that really gonna kill your enjoyment of this? Okay, all right,
whatever. You're afraid of what his skin tone is, other than the fact that it's a completely different species of creature.
Yep.
It's not human, so why do you care what the skin tone is?
Because there's no such thing as an Afro Latino elf, all right?
There's an Afro Latina human, so
I
why
know.
wouldn't there?
Hey man, dude, I laugh when I hear these people making these. Like, dude, the whole thing about the Little Mermaid situation, I just grabbed popcorn for that one because that people was trying to break it down on the scientific level. I'm like, it's a fantasy creature, dude.
Like
it's fantasy.
These are the people upset that a dog has dark hair.
Yep.
Still a dog, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's a dog. Pretty sure it's the same type of dog.
I mean, clearly they didn't watch the Kid and Play cartoon back in the '80s, back in the late '80s with the Great Dane that had a high top fade.
Hey, look here, you gotta have culture, right? Gotta have culture.
All right. So the other thing too is, we got a new release dropping next week. So my checking account, Sonic Frontiers.
How many releases, man? Like, yeah, so many. And then Pokemon's after that, right?
The God of War, and then Pokemon.
Oh, just rough.
Let's see. So Tuesday is Sonic. I think Thursday or Friday is God of War, and then the next week is Pokemon.
I still don't have Bayonetta for review, and I still don't have Mario Rabbids for review.
I said I wasn't getting Mario Rabbids until probably after the holidays, because
it's probably gonna be cheap Black Friday.
Yeah,
it probably will be.
That's when Ubisoft's probably gonna put it on sale. So I'm like, I'll just wait till the end. But yeah, so Sonic Frontiers is on Tuesday. They let out a few gameplay trailers. I've seen a few of them. I'm actually looking forward to this. I think this is probably God of War is Wednesday. Okay, yeah. Well, God of War is Wednesday, so Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm actually looking forward to it because I get why Sonic is a little bit of a standoffish game.
Yeah,
because
touchy subject.
It's been hit and miss. Yep. For every good one they've had 06. So for every colors there was an 06.
God, that hurts so bad.
I like Lost World on Wii U. I like Lost World on Wii U. I thought it was fun.
I like Sonic Colors and I like Sonic Heroes. So.
Yeah, and I understand why, for every Sonic Colors there's a Shadow game, Shadow the Hedgehog, which that game just. But I did love both of the games on the Wii, the Storybook series, Secret Rings and Black Knight. Yep. I like both of those. So Sonic is up and down. I mean, I think we can agree. But I actually like what they're doing because they're taking an open world approach. Because one of my main complaints has been, if Sonic is so fast, why do we always have to stop?
Yep.
Why do we always have to stop?
They got to figure out a way to where he's constantly running.
Yeah, so this is the best way to do that. Make it an open world.
Yeah.
And then give you, like, when you need to get to another spot, like, give him somewhere we can see it and just, okay, I can time my jump to get on this rail because I'm back far enough where I can see it. The fighting moves that he has now. Boy, Sakurai gonna have a field day in the next Smash game.
Sonic in the open world will probably be the first time where people don't want to use fast travel.
Yeah, because he's fast enough to not have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing too is I'm hoping Shadow is in the game. I like Shadow.
Shadow's the dude.
Yeah, I like Shadow.
Pistol or no pistol though?
No pistol, man. What the hell?
Okay. You're making sure.
Yeah, because Sonic Adventure 2 is still one of my favorite Sonic games. Sonic Adventure 2. That's just
that whole lead up to the end of that game was just amazing.
Then the end when you actually have to go super and you still might not you still might lose because the thing is like barreling straight to earth.
Yep.
And it's not small. So I'm like, that was like, okay, y'all hitting that Metroid level of tension at the end of a game. Metroid, when you have to beat the clock.
That was an insane level. You start off just grinding in space. Like that whole Sonic Adventure 2 is a classic, man.
It's a classic.
They should remake that.
So I actually enjoy Sonic Adventure 2. So I like Sonic Forces, but I understand why people didn't like it because the first part of that game was atrocious, and I don't like the build the character thing.
Yeah.
But I did wind up liking it the more I played it. I'll say it like that. I wound up liking it the more I played it. But I can understand why people didn't like it. So looking at Frontiers, I don't know if it's gonna, you know, be that magical one that resets everything for the series. I'm hoping it does.
I mean, we'll see. I'm
Yeah,
liking the cyberspace. Every time I see the cyberspace video, I get excited because I'm like, you can just kind of move
yeah.
throughout wherever you want, and then you're moving super fast, going to each node to figure out what you're going to change.
Hmm.
Um, I think that could be an interesting concept depending on how they pull it off.
Yeah, and they did release a prologue that starred Knuckles. It was like 6 minutes. It's on their YouTube channel, on the Sonic YouTube channel. Check it out when you have a chance.
Huh.
It's actually pretty decent.
Is that a tease, or is Knuckles going to be in the game?
Knuckles is going to be in the game.
Huh.
Shadow's in the game, Knuckles is in the game, and Amy's in the game, but I don't know if they're playable or not. I haven't read that they're playable. I just know that they're there.
Okay.
Amy and Knuckles, Amy you saw in one of the trailers. Knuckles is at the end of this. He's kind of in the same situation that Amy was in that trailer. So, I
Okay.
mean, it's just one of those situations. But I'm very hopeful because, like I said, Sonic is up and down. Like for every good game they have, there are two.
Yeah, they find a way.
They find a way to like screw it up. But I'm hopeful on this one because like I want the storybook stuff to come back because I like the storybook stuff. But
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, since you did play like Secret Rings and Black Knight, do you think they should actually incorporate some of those other forms of Sonic outside of the Super, like Dark Spine Sonic? I would love to see Dark Spine Sonic come back.
Inside of Frontier.
I mean,
Or
just like in any game they come in, like find a way
I
to do that.
I think so because I like the way the Wildfire engine works. So like you can stack abilities kind of
Yeah.
situation based on how good you did in previous iterations of said trial. So how that will work in open world though, I don't know. I'm not sure because like it seems like you would have to, instead of replaying
Skill
a
tree.
level, it would be a certain area that would be like a mini quest, and how good you would do on a mini quest. You know, like how in Breath of the Wild you have to be able to slide down this hill in a certain amount of time or whatever, and then you can unlock the thing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they would like it would have to be something where you would break it off like that in that way. I don't know how you would do it otherwise because in the open world you can't just, hey, let's replay this level over and over again. It's got to be like a trial kind of area for you to build up, and so you can stack abilities and whatnot. Unless this cyberspace thing is where you stack abilities and that's how you get stronger. I'm not sure how that works. I just know it looks cool, and when you come back into the world, like it just kind of like you just fold back into the world. It's pretty cool. I'm just wondering. I would love for those abilities from Secret Rings to come back. It's just I don't know how you can incorporate it with the way those games are laid out. The way those games are laid out, you replay the best way you can, and you get bonuses for doing such, and you unlock secret abilities for doing such. So you can't really do that in an open world, kind of, unless that open world links to levels kind of like that, and then you replay those levels and then go back to the open world with the powers. If that's the case, then I could see how you do it. But if it's open world the way everywhere I've seen how Frontiers is, I don't know how that fits in unless there's some guy hanging somewhere saying play this side quest.
Actually, you do it like they do in Bayonetta. You have the little portal, go do the side quest thing or whatever, and then you come back.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because Bayonetta is that way.
Well, the other thing too is like as far as like because it's kind of at this point like we know he's gonna go Super Saiyan when he gets the 7 Chaos Emeralds. I was like, let's bring in another thing that he can do. You might have to change it up a little bit from what they did in Sonic in Secret Rings, but bring in one of those other forms of his just to like give him an extra boost against something or something. I wouldn't even mind limited, of course, bring in like the Werehog for like certain boss battles or something like that. You know, where he can unlock something that he's done before. Of course, you have to do it a different way, but
Warhog is fine. Supersonic is fine. Just make it limited for a certain amount of time or whatever, and then he jumps back to normal.
Yeah, I just don't want Beers to show up.
We shall see. We shall see.
Wheeze, what is this little blue cretin is supposed to be?
Does he have the abilities he needs? Yes.
Is he going to turn into a Super Saiyan?
Power level is only 3.
Yeah,
so I'm worried about this.
Yeah.
Not certified.
Not certified. Like he's not on that level. But yeah, that actually releases Tuesday. They've been dropping little snippets of the soundtrack. I don't know why they do that because Sonic soundtracks always be bangers. Even the games that suck be having good
soundtrack. Soundtracks are lit.
Yeah, soundtracks are usually lit. So I'm like, yeah, because I hate Sonic 06. I hate that game with a passion, but there's
soundtrack's good.
That soundtrack's fire though. That soundtrack is fire.
They will do a soundtrack. Sonic will always do a soundtrack for sure.
I'm like, God dang, man, this soundtrack bumping. I wish the game was good. But yeah, Sonic Frontiers is actually. I'm hoping. I'm gonna be hopeful on that. I do have that game pre-ordered, so I will be playing. It's digital, of course, so I will be playing that one on Tuesday. Probably do like the first hour or so. Run around just to get a feel for it. So I will have that up on the gaming channel. If anybody wants to check that out, that'll be Tuesday, probably around 6 or 7, because I'll have to do that when I get home from work. But yeah, that is what I'm looking forward to. We got God of War on Wednesday, and then we have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet after that. So I know we've been talking about it because we're gonna have to. We're probably gonna do this episode, probably do our annual gift idea episode next week.
Yep.
To help people out with getting gifts for people around the holidays. But I do want to get your thoughts on what do you think this year's Game Awards is going to be like?
The Keeley Awards.
The Keeley ones, yeah, because that's the ones that we're going to be doing our annual stand-up comedy special.
You already know. Yeah. If it's not Elden Ring, it's going to be God of War. I'm just going to say it just like that. Elden Ring, God of War, in that order. And if Elden Ring doesn't win, then God of War will win. Both of them will be nominated. I'm fairly certain. At this point, we're lucky. We're lucky if Xenoblade even makes it to RPG of the Year category.
Yeah. Well, this year I'm not going to be as mad because this year, just to be completely fair, this year, because they stacked all those games on top of each other, because some of these games that came out last year, it's going to be like that. So I'm not even that upset. I just know it's going to be some BS there because it's going to be like, come on, man. Really?
If the Keeley Awards worked well, Horizon Forbidden West would be on there. Kirby and Forgotten Land will be on there. Pokemon Arceus will be on there. Trying to think what else. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be on there.
Yeah. Because you only got like so many spots. So, and there's a lot of Game of the Year contenders in my opinion this year. Because some of mine would be Kirby, Horizon, Shredder's Revenge would be in there. Despite people want to play that game. Xenoblade, of course. Xenoblade, what's the other one I was thinking of?
Bayonetta.
Just for the pettiness, I just want to see what Nintendo would do just for the pettiness. But
how you show Bayonetta at a Game Awards to reveal it, but then it ain't even nominated for Game of the Year? Like, how did it? Square that for me, please.
Yeah, but I think like because I'm pretty sure like one of the Pokemon games is going to get in some categories. Just too big of a game series not to.
If we were running it, I see what Yen put in there, but obviously they're not going to pick it, but we would. So.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to get picked, but I think it's going to probably get nominated. One of them's getting nominated. One of them is just so you have the appearance of looking fair. Because you know what's going to probably win, right? The PS5 version of Death Stranding.
Oh, of course, yes. We're gonna bring Death Stranding back. We're gonna
Yeah,
bring back the PC version of Days Gone.
yeah.
We're just gonna do all these games that are
If those are on there, he will deserve every piece of ridicule he's gonna get if those are on there. And that's just being honest because they should never be on there. But knowing him, he'll try to find a way. Only thing I'm worried about though, to be honest though, because our good buddy Joseph ain't gonna be there this year because he ain't got a game out. So
I will say never put it past the Game Awards because DLC for Dragon Age made Game of the Year one year. So
yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I like that's why I brought up the whole Death Stranding PS5 version because I'm like, dude, that came out earlier this year, I think.
yep.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, but honestly, that even the new stuff though, there's just so much that I can't really get mad because if you look at it honestly, there's about a good 5 to 10 games that could legit be like in the conversation for Game of the Year. As much as I didn't care for it, Elden Ring is probably going to be in there, and
Yep.
you know it probably should.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Kirby should. Xenoblade Chronicles, especially Xenoblade Chronicles. But I got a feeling Jeff Keighley's going to find a way to make sure that one doesn't even get nominated. Probably say it came out too early. Wait, what?
Yep.
You know,
come up with some excuse.
Yeah, with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you're like, wait a minute.
It came out at the same year that non-Nintendo games came out, so therefore,
yeah. So he'll find a way. I am looking forward to it just because I don't mind the Game Awards. I know it's varying degrees of lunacy that goes on there, but we always have a good time.
Man, it's
we always
definitely interesting. Definitely interesting to see these people come up with these excuses.
Yeah, I mean, we always seem to have a good time when we do our live reaction.
It's just, man.
So, people in the chat, are y'all gonna be joining us this year for the 3 hours of foolishness?
I hope so.
The three plus hours of foolishness, because y'all really do help the time go by. Y'all really do.
We're gonna do our Game Awards foolishness, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I don't know what chat talking about, but we'll definitely do it. And it is interesting to see some of the takes because some of the stuff, some of the shilling is just so bad. We just have to. We gotta call it out when we see it, man.
Yeah.
Like the whole like you're gonna bring the God of War voice actor out there, and just that whole situation was just bad.
It really was, because at that point in the show, there were people in the audience visibly asleep.
Man, you got folks too drunk standing on stage. Like,
yeah,
what are you doing, man? Yeah.
Like the bar ain't supposed to be open before the doggone award ceremony starts. It's supposed to be after the award ceremony starts. The most came in there lit. You got people
sitting in the chairs and stuff, leering at one of the hostess when she comes on the stage. Like he just sitting in a chair, like
I'm talking about straight
up. What are we doing? Like
neck would have been broke.
Like, what are we doing, man? Like, come on, this is supposed to be a professional event. But
and my thing is, you got people in the productions truck. Why y'all keep going to them cameras? Get off the camera. Go to the hard cam. Don't go to that cam. Like,
they just won't stop.
So
they kept showing the empty chair of Miyamoto before he finally got there. Like just the weirdest stuff, man.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's all in good fun, and we have a good time because we're just commentating on what we see.
Yeah. So it gets rough sometimes, but it's entertaining for sure.
Okay, so trailers that I think is gonna drop. Let's see. I do think that either one or two things are gonna happen. Either one, we're gonna have the actual, because the first trailer we got for Super Mario was notated as a teaser trailer, even though it was 2.5 minutes
for the movie.
Yeah, so I think we're probably going to get the trailer 1 for the movie. That's either going to be there or a Breath of the Wild trailer is going to be there. Okay. If one of them isn't there, that's going to be on the direct at the first of the year that they always do.
Yeah, because Zelda's in that holding pattern where I'm pretty sure the game's finished. They just need to. They got to iron everything out for shipping and make sure they have a good event for the product to launch. So I'm fairly certain there'll be something Zelda there, whether they decide to release footage or they do a full advertisement for it or something. So I think something like that will be there. Other than that, the only thing I can expect is probably another Kirby game. Other than that,
they do have the other one that's supposed to come out next year. So they'll probably do that. As far as like, I don't think we're going to see Metroid Prime there. Now it would be surprising if they did it. They would be surprising if they did it. But I think that's probably one of those games that's probably going to be on that first direct of the year.
Yeah. Just make that a launch project and go from there, and then just do
and not even worry about
Nintendo thing.
Yeah, and not even worry about it. I can also see them probably doing something. I can see Microsoft dropping something about Halo there, just to try to get some good press because they've been having bad press lately. I would like to see Perfect Dark, but that's probably not going to happen.
I don't think so. I wonder about this whole GoldenEye situation, if they're going to do extra marketing for that there at the show. They possibly could.
Well, if
for both systems.
I mean, if it depends, because like the problem is the online stuff's going to be on the Nintendo and the other Microsoft ain't getting it. And from what I understand, they didn't ask for it, which I found that to be odd.
But Microsoft is still trying to sell it. So
yeah.
Do you think Microsoft works a deal with Nintendo where they pay for all the marketing for?
It got to be a deal somewhere, because it doesn't make sense.
I think it'll happen later. I think it's what's going to happen. I think Nintendo gets it at launch or whatever, so everybody jumps on their online service, and then Xbox will get it later. Yeah, I firmly believe that's what's going to happen.
To be fair, I'm not playing that game with a standard controller. I'm playing it with that N64 controller. I'm not playing it with a standard controller. Damn that. I'm not doing it. So
understandable.
Yeah, there's no way.
Unless they let you use dual analog, which I don't think they're gonna.
They're not gonna do that because one of my problems with the first Perfect Dark game on Xbox. I don't like using that dual. It doesn't feel right. You know how it just don't feel right.
Yeah, it floats too much.
Yeah, so it just
Perfect Dark Zero floats too much. So
Yeah, so and that's one of those things. Do we think they'll announce their next? No.
We're announcing another.
No.
Nintendo is not. We saw what happened, and they proved it right. Yeah. They showed Wii U at E3 twice, 2 years in a row, and all the press could do was come up with excuses of why it sucked, pretending to not know what it was. And so Nintendo said,
when they had kids.
Can I curse?
Yes, you can.
Nintendo said, fuck you. We'll do our own video. We'll do our own release. And we'll do our own launch on YouTube twice. Once in Japan, once in the United States. To show you what this system is directly from us. There's no excuses. There's no explaining away how you don't know how this is a new system, because Nintendo told you directly what it is. So you can't just pretend, oh, my hands on. We didn't know what it was. Kind of. Nope. Nintendo showed you a video directly to God knows how many millions of people on YouTube within a day.
Well, so that was the thing that never sat right with me. Is because in 2011, all those same people came on and praised it. They had development kits and everything. And in 2012, they acted like they didn't know what it was. I'm like, dude, okay, all right, yeah, something ain't right. And then thanks to that though, we got the birth of the directs, and Iwata put their brain to use and basically screwed over gaming journalism in the West. They've been hurting ever since.
It needed to happen because these fools were selling E3 access at some point. And I'm like, that's just going to end up going to YouTube, right? Like they're going to give it to us for free because they have no choice. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason to subscribe to you for quote unquote exclusive stuff that I could just find at their official YouTube channel. So once that started happening, and then Nintendo's like, we really are pulling away from everybody, and you'll find more exclusive stuff if you go to our YouTube channel. It made them irrelevant. Like,
and then when they dropped Treehouse Live, it was over for everybody.
That's it. So now you can't give us BS about how well my preview of the game was this. Nope, because
We're
I
looking
watched
at
them
it.
play it live and they
Yep.
talked about everything happening in the game.
You
So if you
have
tell me what your preview is and you didn't understand how the game worked and I just watched this video and I understand, we know who you are.
Yeah, because we got the game director, we got somebody playing the game, and we got actual translator from Nintendo and somebody from the actual treehouse playing. You can't lie.
Yep.
You just can't lie.
No excuses.
Yeah. Iwata is one of the nicest cutthroats I have ever seen in my life, dude.
But it's their fault, just like they said in the chat. It's their
Yeah.
fault. Like they kept getting greedy, and they're like, "We're gods. We determine what the fans believe, and we can massage what their reactions are." And Nintendo's like,
Nope.
"How about we don't even treat you like you matter anymore?"
Yeah, and they didn't. And now you have like our good buddy at IGN, Mr. Altano, lying saying that, oh, we've never hated them. Like, really, bro?
Yeah.
Then why y'all purging videos?
Yep. Yep.
I rest my case.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's just weird thing where we just can't find Nintendo videos from 2011 to 2013. We just can't find them for some reason. We were talking about the Wii U, and all those videos are gone. All those podcasts from that time are, oh my god, they're gone. Oh, some of them are still there. Like the Game Scoop ones are still on YouTube,
there, yeah.
but some of the most of the shit was actually talked on the Sony podcast and on the Nintendo podcast when they would have one of the guests from one of the other I won't say channels, but one of the Sony or Xbox guys come on the Nintendo voice chat podcast. I think it was it Weekend Review then at the time.
It was
still
Weekend Review at the time, yeah. That was back when I was still
so they would come on and they would shit talk the system a lot.
Yeah.
And they really didn't have experience with the system because a lot of the stuff that they were saying in retrospect was woefully incorrect.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just one of those things where I they showed Gaming Press who they were then at the time, and I don't think they should ever trust them again. They shouldn't really trust Gaming Press or third parties ever again. You can't just say, "Hey, third party, we're launching our system. Go do whatever." Nope. Nintendo needs to cater and market to that and make sure they're selling their system. Third parties will come after the fact. Don't even worry about them. And
they don't.
And Gaming Press, don't worry about Gaming Press. Issue your message directly to the customer and go from there. Don't even worry about that. They'll write their ancillary whatever stuff after the fact. Just give them the details and go from there. They're like, "Yo, we'll buy it. We'll pre-order it."
Yeah. I mean, the direct format has been working like a charm.
Yep.
So
much to the chagrin of Gaming Press.
So much so that both Sony and Microsoft try to do theirs. Yep. Sony's been doing theirs a little bit more lately. Like Microsoft does their 1 or 2 shows a year, but Sony's been doing it more regularly. I get them points for trying.
Yeah. Everybody's trying to follow what they do now, and I'm like, you shouldn't care because Gaming Press catered to y'all.
Yeah, they catered to y'all. Y'all kept spending all that money, so y'all the ones that went broke doing that, man. So yeah, oh boy, it's gonna be an interesting one, December 8th, ain't it?
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. So we'll see, and I'll try not to laugh too hilariously during that time, but you know, it's hard seeing this stuff for like this is probably the third generation, I think, since social media took off that we've experienced this same scenario repeating itself over and over again.
Over and over again. I will always say this. Iwata was right in 2005 at GDC.
Yeah. Let's chase these graphics. For what?
For what? For what?
For what?
You can't sustain it. He told you couldn't sustain it. People laughed at him. I'm like, yeah, time's proving them wise, though.
Yep.
So, all right, people, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you to everyone in the chat. We appreciate you. Thanks for keeping it real with us. We really do appreciate you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the video so we can get our, so we can keep growing and all that good stuff. Do have a Let's Talk Live from Friday up. I was taking a look at Jade Empire and Time Splitter's Future Perfect. So
Sixth generation.
Yeah, Sixth Generation Love was last Friday. So please, when we have a chance, check that out. Shadow, anything you want to pimp out?
No, just follow the channel. I'll send messages there. You'll see what's going on. I've been doing some stuff on Twitter lately, and you'll see why I do what I do. But stay tuned.
Yeah, so that's gonna be it. We will see you guys next week. I'm gonna go and let you guys know what we're doing next week. Next week's gonna be our annual gift idea episode where we help people plan out their gifts, what they want to give for the gamer in your life. So be prepared for that next week, and we will see you guys then. Is that an 8-bit dude? That's an 8-bit dude. Okay, yeah. So that'll probably be on the docket too next week. So we will be doing one thing we haven't done is accessories, so we will be talking about accessories as well next week. Okay. So just to help everybody else out on a full level. But yeah, we will see you guys next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Twitch. So thank you. We'll catch you guys later. Peace out, peoples.
Deuces.